What is up, everybody? Welcome in here to the lounge. I'm Adam Matas. I'm joined by all my esteemed colleagues, and today we're talking about Monte Morris, Mr. Nugget.
Mr. Nugget. Unbelievable. You think we should call him Monmo?
Nope. We shouldn't call him that at all.
Your first question answered out of the way.
You're worse than Jamal Murray at coming up with nicknames, it turns out.
Do you think we
I
should
didn't think it
call
was
him-
possible, but you are.
Should we call him
Monte Morris, he's Mr. Nugget, or he's nothing.
He's Big Game Tay. He's
Big Game
Man
Tay.
Man.
Let's just call him Spider-Man.
Let's also call, or let's just call him Donovan Mitchell.
Okay. No, but guys, Monte Morris has really endeared himself to the city of Denver. Denver
Yeah.
Nuggets fans everywhere.
baby.
His teammates, his friends, his family. Everybody loves Monte.
I feel like we fall into all of those categories.
We do. I do feel like we are both friends, family, and teammates of Monte Morris.
Definitely teammates. Yeah.
Let's take a look at last year's
If there's
stats.
anything.
His best year in the NBA, in my opinion. 9 points. These don't pop off the screen other than the percentages. You look at that, basically 38% three-point field goal shooter. Monte Morris, that's what sticks out to me. Sneaky good three-point shooter.
Yeah. Well, I think for these last couple of years, he's been one of the Nuggets' best three-point shooters.
Yeah.
You know, he's been a better three-point shooter statistically, not like the numbers per game, like the amount per game, but
Right.
better than Jamal Murray, better than Gary Harris. He's just been so solid, man. He's one of the better backup point guards in the league because he's so consistent.
If you want a real nickname, Eric, Mr. Reliable.
I'm going to stick with Monmo.
And I think that 3-point percentage is going to be more relevant this year than ever. If you look at that second unit, let's say Will Barton isn't ready to go. So
Yeah.
we saw in scrimmage one, so it was Monte, Campazzo, and PJ. Who's the scorer?
Right.
And even more specifically, we can break it all the way down to who's the catch and shoot threat. So like of those three guys, it's certainly not PJ. Campazzo will have to wait and see what that looks like in the NBA. But I think Monte's the one who has the best shot of sort of spreading the floor and being a threat from deep.
But that's the thing about Monte is I feel like he fits into every lineup because
Right.
he can kind of change himself. Is he the lead ball handler? Is he playing alongside Jamal Murray? Now he's a secondary.
Yeah.
Does he need to manage the game? Does he need to shoot? He has so many different skills that he can fit in with a lot. And that's why I think he's become such a central figure of this Nuggets team. And when they didn't extend him at the start of the year, I was starting to get a little nervous. I was
Yeah,
thinking,
for
man,
sure.
this is a guy that even though he is a role player on this team, he's an important one. And if they were to have lost him this season, I think it would have been really disastrous.
Well, yeah, that's why I feel like it's important that he's still around because one of the things that I think we're going to see with this Nuggets team this year is not every lineup is going to be super traditional.
Yeah.
There are going to be lineups with 2-point guards, 3-point guards, maybe like 1-point guard and a bunch of wings. There's just going to be a lot of mixing and matching. Having Monte who can just play alongside any combination,
Yeah.
I think that's going to be
Yeah,
valuable.
like the one like descriptor that you can use to describe all of Monte's game is that he's just solid. Like
Yeah.
he always makes the right choice. He knocks down shots when they're open for the most part. He doesn't ever really play outside of himself.
Ever.
The nice thing also is just like the fact that what he excels in is the ratio of assists to turnovers, which is just tells you that he's just a guy that is out
It's
there
a
making
perfect backup point guard quality.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And he's not going to be he's not going to be pressing it all this year, obviously, because he got the contract extension.
Right.
So I think that's another factor too.
Imagine that hanging over your head
Yeah.
if you didn't know. He hadn't gotten his big
Especially
payday
for a
yet.
guy who's never gotten really paid.
Especially, I would
Yeah.
say, yeah.
And we're, this is an organization that's trying to pride itself on doing right by guys and culture, and so you have to reward a guy like Monte.
He's like the ultimate one you have to do right by.
You have to.
I mean,
Yeah.
let's be honest.
man,
Let's go to our central question. So we talked about he fits alongside everybody, right? Well, we're going to really test the extremes of this theory by seeing if he can play with Facundo Campazzo, the new guy that was brought in to be a point guard. Now you go Monte Morris, who's usually the smallest guy in the court. Nope, now he's the second smallest player on the Nuggets' second unit.
towering over
So what is it?
Campazzo.
What does it mean? I'm going to start with you, Vogt. What do you think it means for Monte that Campazzo is here?
Man, I think they're going to make each other better, Adam. I do. I don't. We'll obviously have to wait and see, but I just think when you have two sort of playmakers and two creators, it was a second unit that really didn't have anywhere to turn. And they didn't even really have a go-to scorer at times last season. So I just think that these two guys together, it's just going to add up to open opportunities for someone. But there are legitimate questions on the defensive end. I mean, this is, even on the second unit, this is really, really small. And these are two guys that I think are going to be targeted, especially in a playoff setting, So there are real questions here. I think Monte will have to step up as a scorer, as a catch and shooter, as I mentioned earlier. But I do think 72 games later, these guys are going to start making each other better.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because we've been preaching on this show and to each other how much length is valuable in today's NBA.
Long boys,
The long boys has been our thing for this entire year. Well, it's turning into the mini lads, especially on the second unit.
We're just zagging right back to the
Tim Conley, not a fan of the DNVR.
Yeah, apparently
not
we
taking
don't know
notes.
what we're talking about with the direction of this league. And even though Campazzo seems like he's going to be a really disruptive defender, there's just some natural questions there with both of those guys, as small as they are, the lack of kind of a plus wingspan at that position. So defensively, I'm not sold, but I think the other thing is like benches in the NBA, it's kind of like a hit or miss a lot of times. You're either going up against a really good bench or a really bad one. And if you just put Monte Morris and Campazzo on the floor together, those are two really good point guards. Those are two above average backup point guards. So just talent alone, I think could work.
Yeah, the one thing that they do have working in their favor on the defensive end is that they play against positions that don't typically drive the lane, or that typically just want to float around the outside and drive the lane. And the both of them being fast enough, they can get in the way of the person that wants to drive.
Yeah.
And then generally speaking, then all they have to do is defend 3-point shots in the way that the current NBA is set up. So like it's they don't need to necessarily have like above the rim defense. They just need to get their hands in people's faces.
And look, they can, like, I think in the regular season this could work. Like, and Campazzo is just such a bulldog.
Yeah.
Like, these guys are gonna stick their nose in there, blow up some screens, force some turnovers. But again, in the playoffs, it will be a little bit of like, you come over here because I can shoot over the top of you. And
For sure.
all, and that's
but
that.
if you want to talk about the playoffs, though, like that's when benches and rotations get shortened down.
Good point, Eric. It's a good point.
The one thing I like about the two of them together is that they're just both extreme facilitators.
Yeah.
High IQ.
So there's not really the need of like, oh no, you don't really have to worry about one of them feeling like they're not doing enough on the floor. Like as long as the offense is going, the ball is popping, like I feel like there's not going to be an issue of like one of them feeling like they need to get their shots up.
Does the
have their
second unit
fingerprints.
need more finishers, though? So you
Probably.
got two elite creators. Then you have, right at the moment, P.J. Dozier, Jermichael Green, Isaiah Hartenstein. I don't know if any of those guys are like elite finishers or elite, spot up, finish at the rim, whatever guys. We'll find out.
I think Hartenstein might be an elite finisher at the rim.
know, he does have-
the
he does finish
shooters are going to be the question.
Yeah. Let's go to the minutes per game, the over-under here, because for Monte, one of the questions is, he's a key piece, but you bring in another point guard, whose minutes does he take?
Yeah.
Well, probably Monte. So I'm setting the line at 22 minutes per game for Monte. I believe I set that line because it was close to what he did last year.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So last year he plays exactly 22.4 minutes per game.
Yeah. I'm going to go under. Like, I think Monte is still going to be a big part of this rotation, playing next to Campazzo, even playing next to Jamal Murray some. But with Campazzo, with P.J. Dozier, I just struggle to see how he gets to that number. So I would put his minutes per game maybe at like 20.
So I'll tell you how he gets there. Last 2 seasons ago, Monte Morris and Jamal Murray played 650 something minutes together. Last year it was about 300. So they got cut in half, right? I wonder if this year, we keep thinking about the Monte Morris Facundo Campazzo duo. I wonder if that's clearly going to play a lot of minutes together, but I wonder if they stagger it and you actually get a lot of Monte Jamal minutes together as well. And if you get those, look, that's been one of Denver's best two-man combos in the backcourt that we've seen, in this era. So that's, to me, how you maybe get there. But what do you think, 22 minutes per game?
I agree with you on that thought, but I think Wind is right. I still think ultimately it's going to be closer to 20 than 22 or 23. And that's okay. I mean, as you do want to keep this guy involved. He just signed the extension. You don't want to reduce the role. But I think Eric hit on a good point. Like in those minutes that he and Campazzo are out there together, they're both going to have their fingerprints all over that second unit offense. And I think they'll both feel involved.
You've got Dozier too. And I know he played
true,
backup
man.
3 in this first preseason game, but how does Will Barton affect the bench rotation? If he's the guy coming off the bench, does that slide Dozier up into a backcourt role? That's going to be interesting to see how it develops.
Yeah, I think probably under is the move here, just because of the fact that they just kept adding guards. So
Yeah.
they have to. There's only a finite number of minutes, so I don't think it'll be down by a lot. What you guys are saying is probably right, but around that 20-minute range.
I'm going to take over, partly just to be different.
Are
Throw
you
a
gonna
little
be
thriller out there.
is this going to be like 22.5?
Yes, 22.1. 22.1. No, I could see it going over just because I think the plan this year is not there's a lot of guards, so everybody plays less, but there's a lot of guards, so all the guards play. And there's no forwards. And
It's not like you can just leave one of these guys on the bench completely.
I mean,
They're so
PJ
good.
Dozier did play a lot of 3, and when he wasn't playing the 3 in that preseason game, he was playing the 4. So
we did see a lineup already that contained 0 centers. So
yeah, so I just have a feeling that the Nuggets are going to play small, and I think it's going to work. You talk about all the different guys that Monte Morris plays well with. I mean, I'm excited to see him with Campazzo. I'm excited to see him with Michael Porter, and I'm excited to see him with Jamal. With Jokic, he's also great, but everybody's great with Jokic, so I feel like you could almost experiment with some of the other guys there at the point.
I mean, some, not all. Obviously, Jamal took a lot into his own hands, but some of those stretches where Jamal got lava hot, he was off ball.
That's a great point with Murray,
with Morris, and Wynn's been
Monte.
clamoring for this for years. Like those two guys together, they work. And so this is to Adam's point on the over. Does the addition of Campazzo really just mean the lion's share of Morris minutes are coming alongside Murray? It'd be interesting to watch.
I think so. Let me take you to a shocking stat, guys. It's going to shock you. Look at this. Look at this thing.
I'm prepared to be
Everybody,
shocked.
wow. Monte was the 5th leading scorer for the Nuggets in the playoffs last year. Wow.
That actually is shocking.
It is shocking,
Wow.
isn't it? Because you think about Monte and all the great things he does, and you think about all the players. We are talking about Jeremy Grant, and we're talking about all this stuff. Monte Morris, 5th leading scorer, behind Jamal, behind
Jokic.
Jokic.
Yeah.
He'd probably be in there.
2 other guys.
Do you know any of the other Nuggets?
Jeremy Grant, and I'm guessing Michael Porter Jr.
You know what? We don't have to know all the details about it. But,
We just need to know the one shot.
Wynn's right. Wynn's right.
The reason why that to me that is shocking is because of how poorly he played in the playoffs the previous year.
Yeah, playoff debutitis.
He had quite a rebound, quite a nice little rebound in this year's playoffs.
So it goes Jeremy Grant, Michael Porter, and then Monte Morris right behind them.
Wow.
Like basically 2 points behind both of those guys, and then ahead of Paul Millsap, Gary Harris. Like guys that played heavy minutes.
Well, I mean, the 3-point shooting, right?
Yeah.
Because Jeremy Grant up and down from 3 in the playoffs.
Monte Morris 30% from 3 in the playoffs.
No, maybe not.
So. But just consistent,
I think
reliable.
it speaks to what's sort of hard to remember now because the run went so well in the end. But the Nuggets were pretty shorthanded. I mean, still trying to figure out MPJ, no Will Barton. It was a whole lot of Jokic and Murray, can you save us? And I think...
Turns out they could.
Right, and so, we'll get to this in the fan vote, but I know the fan vote really thinks that Monte is a 16-game player.
Yeah.
And he might be, but...
He is. No, he is. That was great. That was great vote. That was good stuff.
That's good.
No,
That's good.
It is I do think he's now a 16-game player. I think he had to get through that, like you said, the playoff debutitis. But I think now he's just a reliable guy. And we talked a lot about the Jokic, MPJ, Jokic, MPJ, Will Barton trio that carried the Nuggets when everybody else was out. But Monte was also part of that, and he gets overlooked. But he's one of the guys that you're like, oh, if he's healthy, okay, cool. Like Nuggets are all right.
Monte Morris is a guy that makes you feel good about spending all of your time thinking about sports. Like, he's a guy that you look at, you're like, oh, this guy's like an awesome person.
Yeah,
I really like cheering him on. I like him doing his accomplishments. I'm able to graft onto me and make them my own. Like it feels
you had a big year last year.
I
Man.
did.
I
I had a really good year.
Yeah.
Like I was thinking about all of the turnovers that I was able to avoid.
Shirt? Can you make the shirt?
We'll make a shirt. All right, everyone, just stop yelling. We make shirts. I'll make them.
All right, let's get on to bold predictions here, guys. Let's see who can be the most bold. I got to make up for my RJ Hampton bold prediction, which was not very bold at all. Who's first here?
It's this always.
I'm
vote.
gonna guess vote.
Always
Vote. You're up.
He's going to start a career-high amount of games.
You guys not knowing what your bold predictions are.
I think that
You
because
don't know the order, and there's literally
the regular season is shorter, there is going to be, I think, some unconventional sort of rotations, lineups at times. We've all talked about this. I think there's a chance that Monte ends up starting alongside Jamal sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think as a result, we will see him start more games than he has at any point in his career.
So vote.
Interesting.
Vote's pulling
Under
a win.
20
I was
minutes
going
a
to say
game,
he's pulling a win here.
But starting
Career high starts, career low minutes.
He's right
Yes,
though.
though. Yeah, I really think that.
Although what is his career high in games started?
That's true.
Right now, like 3.
That's it. When he has not started very many
No, I
games,
think
so
it's actually
I think
quite a
I
few.
think he can do both things. I mean, I think it's possible he plays less minutes a game, but
All right.
is utilized that way.
Who's up next?
Probably you, Adam.
Okay.
Okay,
you?
so I think that he's going to lead the team in 3-point field goal percentage.
Wow.
I'm
No
not-
way.
I think
That is bold.
No, so here's the thing.
No way.
I think he's going to play more minutes alongside Jamal, more minutes alongside Campazzo.
It's a lot of open shots.
A lot of he's going to be shooting guard a lot. You know, he's going to be off ball a lot of catch and shoot. The guy's elite catch and shoot. So I think he's going to be 41%. Maybe it's probably going to be tops. Now,
Unbelievable.
Bull might, there might be a guy that comes in as like 2 for 4.
Oh, sure.
I'm talking about of the guys that actually.
This is really bold. I think
It's really bold.
it's really. I know
It's
he's
so bold
sneaky
that-
up there, but leading the team.
Yeah, it's so
Leading the
bold.
team,
It's so
baby.
bold. I felt the need to refute it during your delivery.
Just so you guys wait. This is going to be.
Is this good news or bad news for
Well,
Denver?
can you, let me so
don't think it's great
let me
news.
just say something. 38% last year, okay, on two and a half attempts. The year before, 41.5%. If he
Right.
shoots 41.5% and leads the team, that's great. I mean, 41.5% is a lot.
What is it about human beings that everyone shoots right around 35 to 40%? Like, what is it about the human machine that won't allow anyone to go over 40%?
It's
at
just
a 3
really
point?
hard.
It's
I
very
know, but
difficult.
why is it that? Why is it that exact?
Why don't guys
percentage?
just
It's
have
so strange.
shoot 2 under par every hole? I don't understand it. Why is it?
I don't know,
that we're-
but you don't find that strange? That
Nope.
Okay.
all
Well,
right.
I find it telling. I find it informative.
Yeah.
It's difficult to hit a 3-point shot.
More of that content behind the
Behind the
paywall.
paywall.
Stay tuned.
All right, D-line, bless us with another. Oh,
No,
it's
it's-
Harrison. All right, Harrison's up.
He becomes
fire.
a vocal leader. I think this is the next stage for Monte Morris's career.
This isn't exactly bold. Okay.
Well, I don't think he's one
Is-
of the
is he
vocal
not
leaders.
one?
I don't think so right now.
Oh, he
No.
totally is. Behind the scenes, I mean, he's not like Jamal Murray really stepping into that role, but behind the scenes, he's the one that calls everyone. He's the one that talks. He's the one that hypes.
Yeah, but I think more like publicly. I think more publicly, like on the court. We're gonna just hear about it a lot more this year. He's growing up. It's gonna be his 4th year in the NBA.
Yeah.
He's not like a super young guy anymore. I think it's kind of the next stage for him.
I think I always laugh about the vocal leader thing. I'm not trying. I am making fun of you, but because it's always like the perspective of like Braveheart, where he gets out in front of the crowd and gives the speech that everyone runs into battle or something like that.
Yeah.
So
But they'll never take our freedom!
is that what you're saying? He's gonna be that guy?
Yeah,
we're all-
Oh, I
we're
can't
gonna see a
wait.
little of that.
We're
Are
like-
we going to
we're
get
like-
a different Monte, like post game as media members? Is he going to start carrying himself like a
Just
leader?
hating us? Yeah,
Oh, no,
I can't
yeah.
wait. It's
Yeah,
gonna be
that
great.
too.
like
I'm
a
above this
mayoral candidate. We're just looking down at him. We're like, look at old Monmo. He's in Jokic's
Yeah,
ear.
stop making
It's not gonna happen. All
Fetch
right,
is not
D-line,
gonna happen.
round this out with your bold take.
I believe he will take sole possession of the title, Mr. Nugget.
This is the least bold.
You
Like,
picked
he's
two
already
things
got
that
it.
already happened.
This
you
happened
guys.
last
No,
week.
no, it didn't happen. No, it didn't happen. In fact, I currently we have Mr.'s Nuggets between he and Gary.
It's Mister's Nugget.
No,
It's like attorneys general.
Yeah, like Brothers Grimm.
but wait, Mr.'s Nuggets.
Mister's Nuggets. It sounds terrible. All right, that does it, guys, for the free portion of this Monte Morris show.
I feel like we actually should refund some money for people to watch this.
It was worse than free. No, this was our discussion on Monte Morris. But if you want to see us all individually talk about Monte Morris, the fan vote, the irrational fan vote, some wind chimes, are people talking about Monte Morris?
People are talking. People are very high on Monte Morris this season. Very
Streets
high.
are talking, baby.
And then George Karl. Of course, you want to hear me and George Karl dish on him for a little bit. So become a member, $5 a month. Go to thednvr.com. You get all kinds of great stuff. You get a free T-shirt.
you
by
can
the
look as
way.
good as I look.
You can look as good as any of us. It's a great deal. Then obviously you get access to all of our premium content. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.